I'm enjoying it. Go have a good day. I want to say something about why we happen to have an event like this. There are, you know, strange events and stories that lead up to such things as this. And Reg traipsing all over town with his old movies is part of the story. It's also part of Toronto, so you bear with me. And you bear with me. Let me see. The Pluralics, there was, and the Palmerston Street Library, and then there was a theater, a commercial theater down on College Street where he was showing things. Back to that in a minute. The Bathurst Street Church, and here, and I hope he stays here, this is much the nicest. 3 of those places, his film programs that he started, that was at Boise and the library, and at Pluralics, they're continuing with old movies. He started, so you begin to see what this has to do with Toronto being a good town for old movies. Now I asked Reg how he got into all this once I asked him. And he said, well, when he was in high school, he was kind of bored, and what really pleased him was reading, I hope you're not embarrassed, famous monsters of filmland or something like that. And that became his passion, magazine called that. And it got him to reading Crime and Punishment and Goethe's Faust and Dorian Gray and all kinds of things that his education had neglected up to then. And he got a passion to see a movie he kept reading about called Metropolis. And there was no way he could see Metropolis out there in New Brunswick. So he went to work for Colonel Sanders. This is what he told me. And he earned $50 working for Colonel Sanders, which was a lot of money then. A lot more than it is now. And he bought an 8mm film of Metropolis. And then he was hooked. And he bought The Phantom of the Opera for another $50. That was the one that I saw. And I forget what he got next. He told me he remembers the whole order of every film he got. Anyhow, what he was doing was paying $50 to see a movie he couldn't see any other way. And the only way this could go on, of course, was that he would get other people to help pay for the movies he wanted to see. So that's how all this started. What you see always are movies that Reg wants to see. Now, here he was in a commercial theater for a while, and on College Street. And big place, and quite huge audiences. And he quit that one for the Bathurst Street Church, so I asked him, how come, Reg? Big place here, and you're filling it up with audiences? And he said, they don't want to see the things that I want to see. They don't respond the way I want to respond. The whole thing's wrong. What it is, he said, oh, I forgot to mention, but, well, you all know this, of course, being here, probably most of you having been to some others, the way you find out what Reg is showing is you read it on a telephone pole. And when he was in the theater on College Street, that didn't work. I mean, part of the whole deal was that regular advertisements and everything. So he said, that kind of thing just didn't work for me. They weren't the right audiences. You know, people who stop and read telephone poles are more perceptive. So this is a long way of leading up to explaining to you about what kind of a city Toronto is. It's the kind of a city that has room and appreciation in it for a man who thinks that people who stop and read telephone poles are more perceptive, and who, in the process, has added a great deal to the light and pleasure of the city and